Minimalism is about so much more than white walls, a clean aesthetic, and of course, coffee.
Let's be honest, if you're not having coffee out of an obnoxious beaker, then you're simply not a minimalist. It was a joke, I haven't had my coffee yet. Relax. But I'm kind of serious.
You can take the ideas of minimalism and apply them to almost every area of your life. And these principles can allow you to live a more simple, meaningful life with less stress, less chaos, and really boil down to what is important for you. And it just so happens that's what we're talking about today. Reasonfulness. So yes, I am making up a few words here, trying to get them into Webster. It's no big deal. This is the idea of finding your reason, finding your why, finding your North Star. And when you find that thing, it makes a lot of other decisions for you. For instance, for me, I have different reasons or whys in a couple different categories. I have financial, I have like lifestyle, I have relationships, and each one of those big overall reasons allows me to break down my life and know what direction I want to go. And when opportunities come up or people come into my life, I can ask, does this help get me closer to where I want to be in this overall goal? And if it doesn't, it makes that decision of saying no to it very simple. So be reasonful. SOLONESS. So no, I'm not just adding ness at the end of a bunch of words because I couldn't think of anything else. That's ridiculous. All right. The idea is if everybody's doing something, that's probably not the right thing to do, first of all. And then also just kind of evaluating everything you've been told, everything you see other people doing, and ask, is that the best way to do that? Or should I do that in my own life? If everybody's, going to college, getting in debt, getting a job, renting a place and then renting a bigger place and then buying a condo, then buying a single family home, then buying a bigger single family home, is that this path that you want to take? Just because everybody's doing it, is that what you want to do? And I would strongly urge, no, there's other ways to do it that are much more efficient, and there's other ways of thinking than everybody else. If everybody's being very consumeristic and buying Nike and Apple and all these things, just because that is what's very popular and that's what a lot of people are doing, even in clothing trends, doesn't mean it's a good thing to do. It doesn't mean it's right for you. I don't personally want to be part of like the Apple culture. I don't want to be part of all these different things just because that's what's popular, that's what's cool. Especially as a minimalist, when you're trying to look at everything as like what brings value to you, and don't follow the crowd. Don't do what a lot of other people are doing. Just look at each one and evaluate it against your reason, against your why, and say, does this make sense for me? Upgradelessness. So yeah, it does actually appear, now that I say it, that I'm just adding ness at the end of all these. But I did think about them. If you can think of a better one, let me know. Oh goodness. Everybody is upgrading. They're upgrading their homes, their cars, their electronics. Everybody's upgrading and trying to keep up with everybody else. Very, very few people nowadays actually use something until it breaks, which seems like what you should do. But most people don't actually do that. They don't use their car till it breaks. They use it for maybe 3 years and then they buy a new one. People buy phones almost every year instead of using it for 5 years or 10 years or however long it takes to actually break. Yes, it might not be the absolute best, but you don't always have to have the absolute best when you can save money, live more simply, and not continually, spend money on things that are just, a quick little sugar high, pretty much. You get the new car, and after a week, your happiness might go up, and you have that car, and oh, this is awesome, this is cool. After a week, it's gonna return to baseline because that like sugar high has kind of worn off. It's just a means of getting from A to B. Workfillment. So this is the idea of being fulfilled in your work, which most people are not. If you're one of the lucky people who love what they do, you get to travel, you have freedom, you get a lot of money, like that's great. But most people don't really like what they're doing for work, but a lot of people never try to find that thing that they love to do. And for me, I've really gone through the shift of looking forward to Saturdays to looking forward to Mondays, and I'm still like in the middle there, but I've got to a point where I like what I do for a living. Like I like making videos, I like being a landlord and helping people, when they're having trouble, I'm able to help them and be like a reasonable person and work on stuff and build stuff with my hands. I like all that stuff, and I'm no longer dreading having to go back to work. There's like a stat that most people like die or commit suicide on Monday mornings, like the time that they would go to work. People would literally rather die than go to work. And people spend like 90,000 hours or like a third of their life at this job. The best years, like when they're the healthiest, and the best part of the day when it's sunny out and you should be like doing stuff and doing something you love, you're spending at this job in order to earn money. So I think it's very important to start a side hustle or a business, or start taking whatever steps you can take to get towards a job that you're actually gonna like. Because you don't wanna have no job, you still have to do something every day. So really focusing on finding work fulfillment, valuefulness. So yeah, this is pretty much like a financial minimalism. I couldn't come up with another word. If you can, let me know. I tried for hours, okay? Valuefulness is the idea that every dollar that you spend, so we just talked about all that time that you're spending at work earning money. What are you doing with that money once you have it? Is it earning more money, or are you just spending it? It's just going through paycheck to paycheck. It's just cycling through your life, or are you buying assets with it that are gonna change your life forever? So I try to look at it as every time I spend $1 or $10 or $100, there's a few different things to look at. Well, first of all, I had to work however long it took to earn this. So I had to work a couple hours, plus 30% more because of taxes, and then plus the opportunity cost of the future. So if I spend $10 now, in 10 years, that might be $50. So that $10 burger is actually a $50 burger that I didn't have to work, if I did $10 an hour, then I actually had to work, an hour and whatever 30% more than an hour is to earn $13, because I had to pay taxes as well, and maybe taxes on that. So there's all these costs around spending money. So that's why I'm very frugal, because I don't want to waste money. I want to buy my freedom, buy myself out of a job, instead of just spending it on material stuff. Much rather live a very simple life, do some house hacking like I've done and live for free, than I would have a big house and have a nice car and all this stuff and have to work at a job that I hate. Because I made those other choices, I'm able to leave that job but have a more simple life. So valuefulness. Yeah, fitfulment, healthfulness, healthility, healthfulment, fitfulness. So this is the idea of really focusing on your health, really focusing on being fit, because that determines a lot of things about your future. If you don't eat right and you don't continue to work on your body and keep your body healthy, in the future, you're gonna probably have more depression, less energy, you're gonna have more health problems, it's gonna cost more money. These little things that we do now make huge impacts on our life. So I have found a way to really simplify and make cook at home, cook cheap stuff that's really healthy, and go to the gym just a few times a week for 45 minutes. And that has allowed me to be really healthy without putting up all that much effort. And if I continue to do this, it's sustainable, because it's simple, it doesn't take a lot of time or a lot of money. I don't have to worry about all these crazy supplements. You don't have to do these crazy diets. You just have to make a few simple life changes, and that will allow you to be healthy for a really long time without all that much effort. I've done a whole video on this on my diet and exercise routine. You can check that out. I'll put a link wherever people put links in these things. But just making a few tweaks and really focusing on what you're doing, what you're putting into your body, what fuel you're giving yourself, how you're taking care of this body that you're attached to for quite a while, can really change the whole outcome of your life. It changes how people perceive you and how you perceive yourself, your self-confidence. You'll have a lot more energy to get a lot more stuff done. So it's really important to focus on your health and your fitness. Intentionalist. So this actually might be a real word that I should have Googled this first if it's a real one, but it seems pretty good, right? You want to be very intentional with what you're doing. Like minimalism, like essentialism, you're trying to find out what's really important to you and kind of stripping away everything else. And don't let life live you. You're kind of living a lifestyle by design, not by default. You're being really intentional about what food you put inside yourself, what job you're choosing, where you live, your friends that you have. Everything you do is being very intentional. Be selfish-ish. So the idea of this is focusing on yourself and not being selfish, just being selfish-ish. So the best way for me to make an impact on other people's is to be a good state physically, financially, and mentally. And in order to do that, I need to focus on myself. I need to take time and grow my mind, grow my body, grow my experience. That's something that I haven't always done. And when I don't do that, I don't really have the same mindset, and I can't make as big an impact. So you can't just think about how much you can give. At some point, you need to take care of yourself and really be the best version of you that you can be in order to be, the best dad you can be, or the best husband, or best wife, or worker, or CEO, or employee, or whatever you're doing. In order to be the best you can be at that, you need to take care of yourself and take the time to work on yourself and grow yourself and better yourself. So be kind of selfish-ish. Clutterlessness. I don't know. I couldn't come up with a good one. So the idea of this is decluttering everything. So obviously minimalism, one of the first things that people hear about when they talk about minimalism is this idea of decluttering your home. And yes, that is a huge part of it. And when you have a lot of clutter around your home, it's not only are you physically, like there's stuff all around you, but also has a big impact on how you think, and it clutters up your mind as well. So focusing on decluttering your home, but also decluttering your life. If you have all these things going on, you have 5 different side projects going on, you give a little bit of energy to each one, you're never gonna really crush one of them, most likely. But if you take all that energy and you find what's really important to you and you stack it all into one, you're gonna be able to get a lot more done in that one thing. If you guys have any other principles, throw them down in the comments below. You can make up words too, it's okay. They don't have to be good ones. Clearly. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and drop a like and also subscribe, hit the little bell thingy if you want to see future videos. We're doing a bunch on minimalism, this whole series that I got going on here. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will see you next week.